Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're all doing super well. Today we're going to be talking about the disappearance of 19-year-old Ashley Eiffert. Ashley's family reached out to me through Instagram and asked me if I could help the family spread awareness on his cousin's case. And of course, I wanted to help out in any way that I could, so he helped me make this video possible. We're also going to be making a video on TikTok, so it would be amazing if you guys could also go watch the TikTok and help show it some love. I don't think you need an account to watch TikTok. I'm not 100% sure about that, but I'm pretty sure you can watch it on like Safari or, on Google Chrome. I don't think you need the app to watch the video. TikTok is also an amazing platform and a great way to spread awareness. So as soon as that TikTok video is up, I will link it down below so you guys can go check it out and show it some love. Now, as I was doing the research for this case, I was truly shocked at how little information there is out there. There is barely any coverage on Ashley's disappearance. Her cousin did give me a summary of what happened to Ashley, and he did send me a couple of links to articles and a link to a podcast that Yvonne, Ashley's mother, had done. And I'll link that podcast down below so you guys can check it out because it was a very well done episode. Besides that, there really is no information on Ashley's case. Hopefully by making this video, we can widen that coverage and help her story reach more people. At the end of the day, that's all Ashley's family wants. They want Ashley's case to get the coverage that it deserves. So yeah, that's pretty much what we're going to be talking about in today's video. I truly appreciate every single one of you that took the time to sit down and listen to Ashley's case. You guys are the best, and if you're new here, welcome, bienvenidos. I hope you guys can join the familia by clicking the subscribe button down below. I think that's pretty much all I have to say. Let's jump right into today's video. Ashley Marie Eiffert was born on February 19th, 1983. Her nickname was Shorty, and she lived in Harahan, Louisiana, which is a suburb of New Orleans. Her family describes her as a loving and joyful girl. She loved to play softball, she loved to dance, and she would often march in the Mardi Gras parade. She also loved art, she loved to care for animals, and, she was just an amazing person to be around. Her family says that she was fearless, and they really admire that about her. In regards to her family, Ashley was also very close to them. She had a younger cousin named Madeline, whom she loved to pick up and care for. She was also close to her older brother Ray, and she loved her mother Yvonne and her father. Now, Yvonne says that when Ashley was 16 to 17 years old, things in her life started to change. That was when she met a man named Joseph Louis Hill, also known as Joe Hill. One day, Ashley went to go visit her best friend at her apartment, and during this visit, Joe Hill and one of his friends walked out of a unit and spotted Ashley. And from that moment, things took off. They began dating, and this was Ashley's first serious relationship. Before Joe, she didn't really have any boyfriends, so she was excited about this relationship. As for Ashley's family, they were not a fan of Joe. They felt like Ashley was too vulnerable and trusting of this man, and they just felt like something was off about him. And I feel like when your family has that gut feeling that this guy or this girl is not a good person, I feel like you should always listen to your gut, especially your parents. I feel like sometimes we don't want to listen to our parents and we don't want to take their advice or listen to their opinions, but I always feel like a mother always just has that instinct and that gut feeling, and that's exactly what Yvonne had. Yvonne felt like this man was not good for her daughter. Through other people in the community, Yvonne eventually learned that Joe was actually involved with drugs. He had also been caught lying to Ashley on multiple occasions. He was controlling of her, and the family tried to warn Ashley about this. They tried to tell her, listen, this guy is not a good guy. This is not the boyfriend that you need right now. This is not the man that you think he is. Like, you need to break up with him ASAP. But Ashley didn't want to listen. She really liked this man. She wanted to be with him, and we were all teenagers once. And when your parents try to tell you something about the boy you like, the girl you like, your friend, anything, you just don't want to listen. Even though they have good intentions and all they're trying to do is protect you. So it's not unusual that Ashley was acting this way. She was just acting like a typical typical teenager, but still, her parents did want to help her as much as they could, and they tried to stop this relationship. Yvonne says that she would often go to Joe's apartment when Ashley was there, and she would try to get her daughter to leave and to come back home, but it just wouldn't work. Now that Yvonne looks back at the relationship, she wonders if Ashley was also getting involved in drugs and in bad things, just because that's who she was hanging out with. Joe wasn't a good guy. He was just a sketchy person. So maybe he was making Ashley also get involved in these things. And I just want to remind everyone that we shouldn't judge Ashley for this. She was a young teenage girl. She was vulnerable. She trusted this man. And at the end of the day, what she did before shouldn't cloud the seriousness of her disappearance. We shouldn't not care just because she was dating this guy and, he was wrapped up in these bad things. People should still care about what happened to Ashley and see her as a real human who may have made some bad decisions but still mattered. Going back to the relationship, Ashley and Joe had been seeing each other for a little over a year, and during this time, Ashley had gotten pregnant, and the father of her baby was Joseph Hill. When Ashley told her parents about her pregnancy, they of course were shocked, but they were also very supporting and very accepting. They accepted the fact that Ashley was pregnant, that she was going to have this baby, that they were going to be grandparents, and that the father was Joe Hill. They were willing to give Joe a second chance because they knew that he was the father of this baby and, was hopefully going to be involved in the child's life and, would be around. And Ashley wanted to have this baby and she was excited about becoming a mom. While Ashley was excited about this new chapter of her life, the father of the baby, not so much. Yvonne says that she went with Ashley to Joe's house to talk about the pregnancy, and that's when Joe told her and Ashley that he didn't want to be involved in this pregnancy or in this child's life. He didn't even care that Ashley was pregnant. He wasn't excited about it. He wasn't happy for her. He literally said he wanted nothing to do with this child and that he didn't want this baby. Hearing this, of course, broke Ashley's heart and it devastated her and her family. Ashley was looking forward to this. She was excited about this and, what he said really proved to the family that Ashley did more in this relationship than Joe. She cared more about the relationship. She cared more about him than he did of her. Now, they're not sure if Joe ever asked Ashley to get an abortion or if they ever talked about that, but Ashley was set on keeping this baby. Even though she didn't have the support of the father, she did have the support from her family. So we're going to fast forward to Thursday, January 9th, 2003. Ashley is now 19 years old and is 7 months pregnant. Her baby will be here in just a couple of months and Ashley was looking forward to it. So that day started off just like any other. Ashley was living with her dad at the time and Yvonne was living out of state, but always remained in constant contact with her daughter. They would speak on the phone with each other every single day and she always knew where her daughter was going, especially because she was 7 months pregnant. She just always wanted to make sure that her daughter was okay. However, that day on January 9th, Ashley disappeared. She never came home that day and her family wasn't able to get in contact with her, which again was very concerning for the family. They were always in constant contact, so the fact that Ashley had never shown up to the house, she hadn't called the family to let them know where she was or where she was going. It was just very concerning and the family was worried that something bad had happened. Now this was back in 2003, so there weren't iPhones, there wasn't Find Your Phone, there wasn't AirTags, there really was no way to track down Ashley. So what the family decided to do was call around to all of Ashley's friends and see if they knew something. Maybe they knew about where Ashley had gone that day, about where she was, if she was with Joe, if she was with a friend. They just wanted to see if anyone could help them locate her. But unfortunately, none of her friends knew where she was and they also hadn't spoken to her that day. After talking to the friends, the family decides to go speak with Joe Hill. If Ashley was going to be anywhere, it was going to be at Joe's house. So Yvonne calls Joe and demands to speak to her daughter. However, Joe says that Ashley isn't there. Her daughter is not at his house and he also told her that he hadn't seen or spoken to her that day. All he told the family was that he was praying for Ashley and that Ashley had flipped the script on him. Now, when Yvonne heard this, she was a little bit confused. What does he mean she flipped the script on him. It was just an odd statement, so Yvonne started to theorize about what that could have meant. Maybe Ashley and Joe had planned to go on a trip together, maybe they had planned to get married, maybe they had planned to move in together, maybe they had some type of plan, and now that Ashley was missing and gone, in Joe's eyes, that meant that Ashley had flipped the script on him. Now, we're not really sure if they did have plans to do any of this, but that's just what Yvonne was starting to theorize. It definitely was an odd statement, but now that the family knew that Ashley wasn't with her friends, she wasn't with Joe, she wasn't with any other family members, they were left with a difficult question. Where was Ashley? At this point, the family was really starting to worry, so they called the police and reported Ashley as missing. Yvonne and the rest of the family began putting up signs on telephone poles, they were handing out flyers all around the community, and they even got in contact with the news in hopes that they would report on Ashley's disappearance. Her mom made a public statement that said, "Ashley, if you're out there, please baby, your dad has the same phone number as always. Just call us, get in touch with us. We miss you, love you, and we can't wait to see you again." I mean, this was a very serious situation. Not only was this young 19-year-old girl missing, but she was also 7 months pregnant at this time. I can't imagine dealing with something like that, and Ashley's family is just so strong. They would go out there every single day searching for their daughter, not knowing what they would discover. And 9 days after Ashley's disappearance, the family had finally found something. Yvonne and her husband at the time had been driving around the area just looking for clues. They were looking for Ashley, they were looking for her car, they were looking for anything that could lead them to answers. As they were doing this, they ended up passing by a house in the 4500 block of DeMont Lucen Street near Franklin Avenue. They didn't know anyone that lived in this neighborhood, they didn't have anything to do with this street, but as they were passing through this neighborhood, they came across Ashley's car. Ashley's 1992 Ford Mustang was parked on the street in front of someone's house. And Yvonne was so surprised to see this. I mean, what are the odds that Yvonne was driving around just looking for clues and she stumbled across this random street and happened to find her daughter's car? I just feel like that is so crazy, and Ashley's family is so lucky that they were able to find this very big clue that hopefully in their eyes could lead them to Ashley's whereabouts. Also, this neighborhood was very decent. It looked like a safe area. It wasn't sketchy. Like, nothing really stood out about this specific street. So when Yvonne and her husband at the time spot Ashley's car, they immediately pull over. They literally don't know who lives at this house, but they decided to go up to the front door, knock, and investigate. And that's when a woman named Nicole Celeste Johnson opens the door. Yvonne immediately begins asking her all of these questions. Why is my daughter's car parked outside? How do you know her? Was she here at this house? I mean, who even are you? As soon as this woman opened the door, Yvonne realized that she didn't know her. And Yvonne knew all of Ashley's friends, so if this was one of her friends, she would have easily recognized her. But she didn't know this woman. So she starts asking her about all of these questions, and that's when Nicole tells her about what actually happened on Thursday, January 9th. Nicole tells Yvonne that yes, her daughter was here and was inside this house, and that this is the reason why. Nicole tells Yvonne that she met Ashley at her doctor's office. Ashley was going to see her doctor because she was 7 months pregnant, and she had to go for a routine checkup, just a typical prenatal visit. And Nicole was also at this doctor's office because she had recently lost her baby. Her baby had died just 2 weeks after birth, so Nicole was at this doctor's office just to do a routine checkup, make sure that she was okay. So they run into each other at this visit and they begin to talk. Ashley tells Nicole that she's 7 months pregnant, and Nicole tells Ashley about how she just lost her baby. And that's when she got the idea to offer some of her baby furniture to Ashley. I mean, Nicole was supposed to have a baby. She had given birth to a baby, but it unfortunately had died. So now she had all of this extra clothes and baby furniture that she wanted to give away. So she offered some of this furniture to Ashley. I'm not sure if Ashley was going to pay for these items or if Nicole had offered it for free. I'm not really sure what their deal was, but in the end, Ashley agreed to this. They exchanged contact information. Nicole gave Ashley her home address, and they agreed to meet up on Thursday, January 9th. So when that day finally came around, Ashley pulled up to the house in her 1992 Ford Mustang. She got down, walked inside the house, and they began doing the exchange. According to Nicole, everything was going well. They were talking about the furniture, they were picking out the items, and everything just seemed normal. However, towards the end of the visit, Nicole says that Ashley began to argue with someone over the phone. Now, she doesn't know who this person was, but she assumed that it was her boyfriend, who at that time was Joe Hill. Now, she's not really sure what they were arguing about, but she does remember that Ashley was asking Joe if he could come by with his pickup truck and help her move the furniture. But for some reason, Joe didn't want to go. And this made Ashley upset, so she was arguing with someone over the phone who Nicole thinks was Joe. Ashley argued with this person on the phone for a bit, and then she started walking towards Nicole's front door and was heading to her car. Nicole says that she saw Ashley do this. She saw her make the walk from the front door to her car, and as she was doing this, she was still on the phone arguing with someone. Then Ashley got inside her car. She tried to start it, but for some reason, it just wouldn't work. Something was wrong with her car, so she decided to get out and walk across the street to a Shell gas station. And that was it. That was the last time that Nicole had seen Ashley. Maybe she assumed that Ashley was going to the gas station to ask for help for her car, or maybe she was going there to wait for a ride. We don't really know why Ashley headed in that direction. Now, Yvonne listens to all of this and she's pretty confused. First of all, she was always in constant contact with her daughter. So if Ashley was planning to come here to get this baby furniture, why wouldn't she tell her mom? Why didn't she tell her mom about this, her dad who she lived with, her brother, her friends, anybody? It just seems odd that Ashley would keep this meeting to herself. It's also strange because Ashley's dad owns a truck. So if she did need help, moving the furniture, she could have called her dad for help instead of Joe. On top of that, Ashley never told anyone about Nicole. You would think she would tell people like, hey, I met this woman named Nicole at the doctor's office. She wants to give me some baby furniture. I just feel like that's something that you would tell someone, whether it's your family or your friends. But Ashley never told anyone. Lastly, it had now been 9 days since Ashley was last seen. In this entire time, the family has been passing out flyers with Ashley's face on it. They've been talking to people in the community about her disappearance. They featured her story on the news. And on top of that, her car was parked in front of Nicole's house this entire time. So how did 9 days pass without Nicole realizing that Ashley was missing and that she hadn't come by to pick up her car? It just didn't make sense. So Yvonne asked Nicole about this, and she says that she had no idea that Ashley was missing. It wasn't until Yvonne showed up at her doorstep in that moment and showed her the flyers that she realized Ashley was gone. As for the car, Nicole says that she did find it odd that the car was parked outside of her house after all of these days, so she did call a tow trucking company to come get the car, but the tow trucking company never showed up. And I just feel like all of this is very odd. I know Ashley and Nicole had just met and they weren't best friends. So maybe that's why Nicole wasn't too concerned about Ashley's whereabouts. Because they weren't close or anything like that. But I still feel like you would wonder, what happened to this young 19-year-old girl that came to my house, looked at my baby furniture, left by herself, and then just never picked up her car. But I still think how she reacted is strange. Just for a moment, put yourself in Nicole's shoes. Imagine if you invited over a 19-year-old young mom. She was inside your house. She was looking at your baby furniture. She was arguing with someone over the phone. She walked out by herself and walked to a gas station all on her own. And then 9 days later, she still hadn't come by to pick up her car or had called you to, ask about her car or ask about the furniture, anything. How would you react? I feel like a normal person would have called the police to, do a wellness check or called Ashley to see if she would pick up the phone. I just feel like Nicole had a lot of options, but she just didn't do anything. All she did was call a tow trucking company, which we're not really sure if she actually did that, and that was it. It's just crazy how if Yvonne had never spotted Ashley's car, she would have never found out about Nicole Johnson, about the baby furniture, or about anything. I'm not too sure if Nicole would have ever come forward and given this information to the police. After this interaction with Nicole, Ashley's family family immediately reports this information to the police. And they honestly believed that police were going to do their work. They were going to do their job, go speak to Nicole, investigate her alibi, just look into her. However, for some reason, police never did that. When police went to go look for Nicole, she was gone. They couldn't find her. And what's crazy is that the detective at the time, Detective Winston, even did an interview where he said that detectives went to find Nicole's address, but that her address didn't exist, which I find odd because Yvonne was literally there. She went to Nicole's house. She was there with her ex-husband. They spoke to Nicole face to face, so she was a real person and this was a real house. But for some reason, police couldn't find her address and they couldn't find Nicole. Now, I'm not sure if police had written down the wrong address or, if they were just confused, but they did go look for Nicole and they just never found her. To this day in 2022, police are still looking to speak to Nicole. Can you imagine? It's been 19 years since this happened and police still haven't spoken to the last person that may have seen Ashley, the one person that could help police find more answers. It's just crazy, and Ashley's family says that Nicole has moved around to a couple of different states and she goes by different names, so they also haven't been able to track her down. But at the end of the day, that's the police's job. I just don't understand how they didn't immediately go to Nicole's house as soon as the family reported this to the police. If they had just gotten there sooner and reacted more quickly, they could have found Nicole and questioned her. And that day that Yvonne confronted Nicole was the last day that she has ever seen or spoken to her. Nicole never called her to ask for an update on Ashley's disappearance. She never called her to check in on the family, and they had exchanged contact information, so Nicole did know how to contact Yvonne, but she just never did. You would think she would call to see if this 7th-month pregnant girl was okay, a girl that she had literally invited into her own home. But no, she never contacted the family, and I honestly think that it is very odd that she just left and just vanished. If she really had nothing to do with Ashley's disappearance, why wouldn't she come forward and just talk to police, clear everything up, and help the family? It just doesn't make sense that she's, I don't want to say like on the run, but I guess just hiding in a way, because police have made multiple public statements asking people to help them find Nicole Johnson, but she just has never come forward. Going back to the investigation, Ashley's family did tow her car and they did check it for fingerprints and other pieces of evidence, but they didn't find anything. What they did find in her car were just a couple of personal items. Ashley had some of her clothes in there, some of her shoes, but none of those items really stood out to the family. The one thing they did note was that Ashley's phone was gone. Yvonne was able to collect all of Ashley's cell phone records and she went back to see who she called the day she disappeared. Ashley had called a couple of unknown numbers, so Yvonne called every single number back to try and get some information, but she didn't get any. In fact, most of those numbers never even picked up the phone. She gave all of this information to the police and asked them to try and find where her phone last pinged, but police weren't able to get this information, and since her disappearance, her phone has never been used. Okay, so now that they have found Ashley's car, they found the last person who may have seen her, they found some of her personal belongings, they dusted the car for fingerprints, they checked her phone records. I mean, what else could the police do? Well, to start, they could have gone to the gas station across the street and asked to look at the surveillance footage or speak to the employees there. They could have gone there to ask the employees if they had seen Ashley on the day she disappeared, confirm that she actually made it to the gas station, but police never did this. They never went to go speak to anybody and they never collected the security footage from that day. Ashley's family has no idea why police didn't do this. They're so confused. I mean, why wouldn't they do their job correctly? It's just so frustrating and I just feel so bad for Ashley's family. I feel like they had to do the majority of this investigation on their own and there's only so much that they can do and it just feels like they don't have the support from the police. Now, even though the family did think that Nicole was suspicious, they honestly believed that the one person responsible for this was Joe, Ashley's boyfriend and the father to her baby. Police did put out a statement saying that detectives were trying to track down Joe, they were trying to track down Nicole, and were trying to speak to any friends who might have any information to add to the case. They did end up talking to a couple of Ashley's friends who claimed they knew nothing about her disappearance or about where she could be. However, they never found Nicole or Joe. They never brought him in for questioning, they never followed up with him, nothing, which is absolutely insane to me. Now there's two people that could be potential suspects in this case that have never been found or questioned. The family has tried to get in contact with Joe, they've tried to find him, but it seems like he ended up moving and they're not sure where he is. However, a few years later, Yvonne did end up finding his Facebook profile. Now I don't think he put his address on his Facebook or about where he lives or anything like that, but this profile does belong to Joe, and Yvonne says that she was going through some of his public photos and it just seems like he's a normal person living a normal life. It doesn't even seem like he's concerned or upset about the fact that his 19-year-old pregnant girlfriend has been missing for so many years. He's never made one post about her, he's never called the family to ask for an update, nothing. Yvonne did find out that sometime between 2003 and now, Joe was in jail for drugs. But that's it. That's all we know about Joe's whereabouts and about what's happened since Ashley's disappearance. Now, a lot of people wonder if Nicole had any type of connection to Joe. Maybe they somehow knew each other and they had planned this entire thing. We're not really sure if there is any type of connection between them. Yvonne says she hasn't been able to find anything, but again, they're not ruling anything out, and it could be possible that both Nicole and Joe had something to do with Ashley's disappearance. You know, Joe and Ashley did not have a good relationship. They would constantly be fighting. He was very controlling over her, and again, he didn't want to have this baby. He wasn't happy or excited about the fact that Ashley was pregnant, and he straight up told Ashley and her mom that he did not want to have this baby. So Yvonne and the rest of Ashley's family truly believe that Ashley's pregnancy had something to do with her disappearance. Whether Nicole and Joe worked together on this, whether Nicole did this by herself, whether Joe did it by herself, the family truly believes that either one of them is involved in her disappearance and that it had something to do with her baby. You know, Nicole was the last person to have seen Ashley. She claims she didn't know Ashley was missing. She never called the family asking for an update, and, you know, in a way, she's kind of on the run. Police have been asking her to come forward, but she just doesn't want to do that. So in the family's eyes, that's very suspicious. Besides Joe and Nicole, Yvonne once believed that maybe one of Ashley's friends could have been involved. Remember how I told you that Ashley had gone to her best friend's apartment and that's when she had met Joseph Hill? Well, it turns out that Ashley and this friend had a big falling out. And this falling out happened right after Joe and Ashley began to date. Yvonne isn't too sure what happened between them, but all she knows is that their friendship ended after they got into some sort of disagreement. And I mean, these girls had been best friends since grade school, but something happened after Ashley and Joe began dating that made this friendship end. Yvonne hasn't publicly revealed this friend's name, but she is still friends with her on Facebook. So she has messaged her numerous times asking her about Ashley, asking her if she knows anything, but this friend claims that no, she doesn't know anything about Ashley's disappearance and she doesn't know where she is. However, at the time, Yvonne felt like this girl was lying to her. She could just feel it in her gut, and she says that if anybody would know anything about Ashley's disappearance, it would be this friend. Plus, what are the odds that this friend lived right next to Joe? They had a falling out after Joe and Ashley started dating. I mean, you just never know. But at this point, the family is leaning more towards Nicole and Joe. But again, they don't want to rule anybody out. There are just so many unanswered questions and leads that were never followed in regards to Ashley's case. I mean, did the detectives ever confirm that Nicole was actually a patient at this doctor's office? Did they confirm that Nicole actually had a baby and had lost the baby? I mean, how are we able to confirm that what Nicole told the family is accurate? It's not uncommon for people to lie about their pregnancies, and I did the case about Marlene Ochoa a couple of months back, and that case was so heartbreaking and brutal, but it's also a reality. Sometimes pregnant women are befriended by a stranger online that says, oh, I'll give you my, baby clothes, my old baby furniture, my old baby toys. It's under a false pretense, and in reality, these strangers just want the baby. So maybe that's what happened here. Maybe Nicole lured Ashley to her house and told her that she was going to give her this baby furniture and that she had lost a baby, but it was all fake. It was all just a part of her plan to get Ashley to come and, to maybe take her baby. That could be a possibility, but some people disagree with this idea just because of the fact that Ashley was 7 months pregnant at the time of her disappearance. So she still had 2 more months ahead of her before she was ready to give birth. So if Nicole had taken Ashley's baby, the baby would have needed a lot of medical help to survive since it was going to be a very premature baby. So it just seems like it would be hard for Nicole to get away with this, to have a premature baby, take it to the hospital to, get the help that it needs, and not tell anybody about how she has this baby, how she gave birth to it, or anything like that. So Yvonne and the family doesn't really believe that Nicole took Ashley's baby, but they definitely think that she might be involved. And the same goes for Joe. Now, when Hurricane Katrina hit, it really affected the investigation. The police lost all their records for Ashley's case, but thankfully Yvonne had kept copies of everything the police had given her. So she handed all of these reports to the police and asked them to continue investigating Ashley's disappearance. She kept calling and calling the police, begging them to listen to her and to reopen the case. And that's when Detective Winston listened to her and finally reopened it. But unfortunately, his investigation didn't lead to much, and the case has now gone cold again. Currently, there is not one detective at the NOPD that is actively working on Ashley's case. The family has made numerous phone calls to them, they've sent them emails, they've done everything they could to ask police to keep looking, but they just don't want to do it. They don't respond back to the family, and the family just feels so frustrated. Now, the family is pleading to the community of New Orleans to come together to solve this 19-year-old case and bring the person or persons responsible into custody. They know that someone out there knows something and they just don't want to say anything. Whoever did this to Ashley is still walking freely, while the Ludwig and Eiffert family suffers every single day because they don't know what happened. So now the family feels like they need to take things into their own hands by hiring a private investigator. They recently created a GoFundMe account to help raise the funds for this PI, so it would be amazing if you guys could donate and help the family out. Even if it's just $5, that will definitely help their cause. And if you're not able to donate at this time, you can help by sharing this video, sharing the GoFundMe, and sharing Ashley's story. You can use the hashtag #FindAshleyEiffert on social media and, let's get her name trending. People need to know about her and they need to know about her story. Her disappearance has greatly affected her family and all they want is answers and closure. Yvonne says she misses her daughter's energy and presence. If her daughter was still here, she says that the world would be a very different place. She loves and misses her daughter dearly. She said, "I never gave up hope. That's why I'm here now. If something did happen to her, we need to find the person who did this and have them prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. I won't give up." If Ashley was still here, she and her mother would be traveling everywhere together and, just doing typical mother and daughter things. Not only did Yvonne lose her daughter, but she also lost her grandchild. Everyone in the family has been affected by this. Her cousin Madeline, that I mentioned at the start, was only 7 years old when Ashley went missing. And at that time, she couldn't fully understand how her cousin was missing. And now, Madeline is 26 years old, and she still can't understand how her cousin was here one day and then gone the next. It's 2022 now, and Madeline doesn't want another year to go by without answers. She wanted to say this to Ashley. "We are here, Ashley, and we feel your energy, and we will find out what happened." Ashley was 19 years old when she went missing. She was 4'11", 100 to 115 pounds, and was last seen wearing a white shirt, light blue sweatpants, white Nike sneakers with a blue trim, and was wearing violet-colored sunglasses. She has brown hair, brown eyes, a tattoo of her name in script lettering on the inside of her ankle, and she has a small sun or sunflower tattoo above her breast. If you saw Ashley that day on January 9th walking to the gas station outside of Nicole's house or just anywhere in this specific area, please come forward and contact the New Orleans Police Department at 504-821-2222. If you are in the New Orleans area, please help share her story and help keep her name out there. We need to remind detectives that Ashley matters. What happened to her matters, and people are still out there looking for answers and looking for closure. My thoughts and prayers go out to Ashley's family. I'm so sorry for what your family has been through and continues to go through. I can't imagine how frustrating it must be to not have the support of the police, but you have our support, you have the viewer support, and we will do our best to share Ashley's story and continue to keep her case alive. I truly hope that you all find answers and closure soon. But alright, you guys, guys, that's pretty much all the information I have for today's video. I would love to know your thoughts about this case down below, and please don't forget to check out the GoFundMe that's in the description box. And if there are ever any updates on Ashley's case, I will make sure to keep you guys posted by putting it in a pinned comment down below. But yeah, I think that's pretty much all I have to say. Thank you guys again so much for being here, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye guys!